Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Right this way, please. Right
The legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has attracted widespread media attention, featuring allegations of sexual harassment, defamation, and professional misconduct. The situation has grown more complex with the involvement of Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds made their first public appearance at the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary event, posing for the cameras as if a looming $400 million lawsuit wasn't hanging over them. It was their first outing since Justin Baldoni's legal battles had become entangled in the controversy. Despite the tension, the couple maintained an air of normalcy, Blake stunned in a floral gown, while Ryan kept it classic in a black tux. Their outfits suggested confidence, but their body language told a different story. Blake, in particular, appeared uneasy, likely dreading any questions about the lawsuit. Her biggest concern? That Ryan might say something reckless. Unfortunately for her, that fear became reality. As the night progressed, SNL stayed true to its signature humor, with jokes flowing effortlessly. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, until the host turned to Ryan and asked a seemingly simple question.
Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Any other person might have dodged the question or offered a vague, non-committal response, but not Ryan Reynolds. He couldn't resist cracking a joke. Sometimes, having a sharp sense of humor makes you oblivious to the gravity of a situation, and this was one of those moments. His response? Great. What did you hear? The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The audience laughed, but not because it was funny, more as a reflex to ease the undeniable awkwardness. Everyone knew what was going on. The lawsuit had been dominating headlines, and the PR disaster surrounding It Ends With Us was all anyone could talk about. Yet, Ryan chose to make light of ITAS for Blake? If looks could kill, Ryan would have been a dead man the second those words left his mouth. She turned to him, eyes sharp, practically seething. If telepathy were real, she was undoubtedly screaming, "You could have just kept your mouth shut." The last thing Blake wanted was for their legal battle to become SNL material, especially when she had carefully positioned herself as the victim. For months, she had been laying low, avoiding direct confrontation, only for Ryan to blow it all up in a matter of seconds. Since the lawsuits began in December 2024, he hadn't exactly handled things maturely. He could have taken a step back, let things play out, or publicly supported Blake in a meaningful way. Instead, he turned it into a punchline, first in Deadpool, and now on SNL.
Come here, girl!
Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're Deadpool too. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminine.
In Deadpool, Ryan had already taken a jab at Justin Baldoni, using his iconic character to mock the director. Reports suggest that a character in the movie was designed as a not-so-subtle parody of Baldoni, soft-spoken, overly enthusiastic about feminism, and constantly preaching about toxic masculinity, only to be portrayed as a complete joke. To drive the point home, Ryan even included a pregnancy-related jab, a topic Baldoni is widely known for discussing. Baldoni's team quickly caught on and reportedly tried to get Ryan to dial it back. But does he ever listen? Of course not. He went ahead with it anyway, and then pulled the same stunt again, this time on live television. This isn't the first time Ryan's humor has rubbed someone the wrong way, and it probably won't be the last. Back in 2004, during the production of Blade, Trinity, Ryan Reynolds, and Wesley Snipes didn't exactly get along. Snipes, known for his serious demeanor, had little patience for Ryan's constant joking on set. In what was meant to be the grand finale of Snipes' Blade trilogy, Ryan played Hannibal King, a fellow vampire hunter, but his relentless humor became a source of tension. Snipes later addressed the feud in an interview, saying, "Some of the things he did back in those days, that's not really my humor. I'm not tuned in that way. So I thought, well, it's a little over the top for me." After the movie, Snipes made it clear he wanted no part in Ryan's brand of comedy, especially since it often came at someone else's expense. Now, in light of the It Ends With Us controversy, people are beginning to see a pattern. Subtle bullying seems to run in the family. In her lawsuit, Blake Lively positioned herself as the victim, accusing Justin Baldoni of objectifying her on set and even body-shaming her. She claimed Baldoni went behind her back, contacting her fitness trainer and demanding that she lose weight within 2 weeks. The lawsuit further alleged that Baldoni justified the request by saying he needed to lift her in a scene, yet no such scene ever existed.
Her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin.
In his own lawsuit, Justin Baldoni denied Blake Lively's allegations, explaining that while he did ask her trainer about her weight, it was purely for safety reasons. Due to bulging discs in his back, he needed to ensure he could perform the lift without risking injury. His lawsuit also clarified why the supposed lift scene never made it into the final film. Blake had outright refused to perform it, despite it already being rehearsed with a stunt double. Baldoni further claimed that he was actually the one who experienced subtle bullying on set. According to him, Blake frequently made derogatory remarks, even joking that he should consider plastic surgery for his nose. Subtle bullying disguised as humor seems to be something both Ryan and Blake excel at. Even Ryan's Deadpool co-star, TJ Miller, has spoken out about the insults he endured from Ryan while filming Deadpool 2. During a 2022 episode of The Adam Carolla Show, Miller detailed how Ryan's humor often crossed the line, making it clear that his jokes weren't always as harmless as they seemed.
After he got super famous from the first Deadpool, then things kind of changed. I think he was like, see, you guys see? And then I think
TJ Miller revealed that Ryan Reynolds had been horrifically mean to him on the set of Deadpool. One particular incident stood out. While in character, Ryan reportedly told him, "You know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie." Miller didn't take this as just a scripted joke. It felt personal. His experience only reinforced the growing pattern of Ryan's humor, often coming at the expense of others.
Would I work with him again? No.
No.
I would.
Miller described how deeply hurt he was by Ryan's remark, yet Ryan carried on as if nothing had happened. In the interview, Miller made it clear that he had no interest in ever working with a Deadpool star again. Back to the SNL debacle. When Ryan realized the mess he had created with his offhand joke, he scrambled to save himself from further backlash. In a desperate attempt to shift the conversation, he randomly pulled out a Coneheads joke, hoping to distract from the tension he had just caused.
That they made the cone heads with? Are those edible?
Edible? No, and based on them being made in 1975, I'd assume that they're highly toxic.
He awkwardly tried to change the subject, blurting out, "I also have a question. Do you know if the materials they made the cone heads with are edible?" If Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, the hosts of the show, weren't on live TV, they probably would have rolled their eyes at his weak attempt to deflect. But, being the pros they are, they played along. Tina simply responded, "Edible? No," and smoothly moved on, subtly brushing past Ryan's desperate save.
Made in 1975, I'd assume that they're highly toxic.
Oh, okay. So if somebody, hypothetically took a couple of nibbles backstage and, got excited, should they go to the hospital or should they?
Yes, they should go to the hospital right away.
Good.
Amy Poehler quickly followed up with, "Yes, they should go to the hospital immediately," subtly implying that she hoped Ryan's bizarre behavior was the result of actually eating part of a conehead. T.O. Ryan, his off-the-cuff joke had saved the moment, but in reality, it hadn't. The online backlash was immediate and brutal. And unfortunately for Blake Lively, she bore the brunt of it. Blake had spent years cultivating an image as America's sweetheart, beloved, charming, and adored by many. But in a single moment, that carefully built reputation began to crumble. People who had once supported her side of the story suddenly started to question everything. Ryan's arrogant, careless statement wasn't just a blunder. It was a moment the internet would never forget. What made it even worse was that the SNL 50th anniversary celebration was supposed to be a redemption moment for the couple. Neither Blake nor Ryan had ever hosted the show, and Ryan had only been invited as a guest a handful of times. Their presence at the event was the result of strings being pulled, an opportunity to repair their public image. And they completely wasted it. Blake, in particular, had already been struggling with waves of bad press, especially after journalist Kirsty Flower recently exposed a particularly hurtful thing Blake had done during an interview.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Back in 2016, journalist Kirsty Flower interviewed Blake Lively and Parker Posey about their film Cafe Society. During the conversation, Kirsty casually congratulated Blake on her little bump, intending it as a compliment, especially since Blake had recently announced her pregnancy. But nothing could have prepared her for Blake's response. Rather than graciously accepting the well-meaning remark, Blake shot back with a sarcastic, "Congratulations on your little bump." The atmosphere immediately turned awkward. Blake, of all people, should have known better than to make such a remark, especially to a woman who was clearly not pregnant. It was a thoughtless, impulsive reaction that carried lasting consequences. What made it even worse was that Kirsty had been privately struggling with infertility. She had been trying to celebrate another woman's joy, only to have her own pain thrown back in her face. And while Blake likely had no idea about Kirsty's personal struggles, the insensitivity of her response left a lasting mark on her public image.
His wardrobe was beautiful.
I know,
Corey's
everybody.
wardrobe was
I know.
gorgeous.
He's
Those
so
high-waisted
great.
pants.
He's so great.
I would wish men
And
wore
sorry,
high-waisted
too.
pants like
I
that
know.
still.
Me
Or
too.
the father with
Kirsty Flower recently opened up about how awful the entire ordeal with Blake Lively had made her feel. She revealed that the humiliating interview almost made her quit journalism altogether. And to make matters worse, the rest of that interview was a complete disaster, a harsh reminder of just how terrible some celebrities can be. Since Kirsty's revelation, Blake had been desperately trying to repair her public image. But the timing couldn't have been worse. The It Ends With Us lawsuit had already painted her in a negative light, making it nearly impossible for her to win back public favor. One thing the Baldoni versus Lively case made painfully clear was just how ruthless Blake, and even her family, could be when trying to get what they wanted. The tension between Blake and Baldoni wasn't exactly a surprise. When Blake first admitted that she and Baldoni weren't on great terms, many people's reaction was simply, "Girl, we know." The two had been visibly avoiding each other during the film's premiere, making it clear that their relationship was anything but amicable. But Blake was already under fire before that revelation. Her handling of the movie's press tour had been severely criticized. It Ends With Us is a film about domestic abuse, yet its promotional campaign was filled with pink carpets, floral aesthetics, and an overall light-hearted vibe. And that was all because Blake was in charge. Rather than focusing on the film's heavy themes, she used the press tour as an opportunity to promote her own ventures, her hair care brand, and even her husband's gin company. Things got even worse when reports surfaced that, at certain premieres, like the one in London, press members were explicitly instructed not to ask anything about domestic abuse. The direction was clear: keep it fun, keep it light-hearted. Since Blake was at the center of the film's promotional campaign, all the backlash fell squarely on her. Many accused her of being tone-deaf and insensitive, turning what should have been a serious discussion into a self-serving PR stunt.
Not that I was counting, but I thought that was one of the best first kisses I've seen on a movie.
Oh boy, Justin
Just saying.
Baldoni, you see, we've been talking to you all morning long. Good morning, good to see you.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. You guys are such lights.
We love your film, we love your work, we love what you've done with this book, which has, it sold 6 million copies, Colleen Hoover's book. I've been, in anticipation of you coming here, I went on Reddit to see what people are saying about the book in anticipation of the film. They love the book, so there's millions of fans out there. You are one of those fans. You immediately bought this book right, and you wanted to direct it. Why?
Well, I first optioned this book in 2019, and at the time it had sold just under 1 million copies. And I had
Why
never
did
read
you read it? Yeah.
Well, I just started Wayfair Studios, and at the time my book agent, shout out to Johanna Castillo, sent it to me. And she said, just read it, because I was looking for movies that could be commercial and speak to the human experience. And
Were you reading romance novels?
And I had never read a romance.
What made things even worse for Blake was that, in contrast to her approach, Justin Baldoni took a far more serious and thoughtful stance during his solo interviews. He spoke about how the movie was meant to serve as a reminder to those suffering from domestic abuse that they could leave. He focused on the real message of the film, highlighting the importance of raising awareness, while Blake, a woman, was seemingly doing the opposite. People weren't happy. Hundreds of critics flooded her social media, slamming her for her tone-deaf handling of the film's promotion. The backlash became so overwhelming that she was forced to acknowledge the issue. On a Tuesday, she posted a message on her Instagram stories. 1 in 4 women aged 18 and older in the US alone have been the victim of severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. It was a feeble attempt at damage control, and it didn't work. And then, as if the timing couldn't have been worse, Norwegian journalist Kirsty Flower decided it was the perfect moment to air her grievances against Blake. The backlash intensified. Lively's PR team scrambled to fix the situation, but nothing seemed to work. So, in December 2024, they decided to go on the offensive. They filed a lawsuit against Baldoni, and her lawsuit, Blake accused Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer CEO Jamie Heath of repeated sexual harassment and other disturbing behavior. She also claimed she wasn't alone, that other female cast members had made similar complaints. Blake alleged that during the film's production, she and her husband had personally met with Baldoni and Heath to address these concerns, but they ignored her. Instead, she claimed, they launched a smear campaign to ruin her reputation. She accused Baldoni of orchestrating a coordinated, well-financed retaliation plan against her, allegedly hiring a crisis manager to create and spread negative social media content about her. As soon as the lawsuit was made public, the narrative shifted. Many people who had initially doubted Blake's side of the story suddenly rallied behind her. Justin Baldoni quickly became the villain. Several celebrities rushed to show support for Blake.